ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here further, after the devatas, the demigods of the higher planets, they observed darkness everywhere. They were disturbed by the darkness, and in order to know what exactly is happening, all of these devatas, they approached Lord Brahma, and they are offering their prayers to Lord Brahma. So this is the continuation of those prayers. Namo Vijnana Viryaya. They are offering their respectful obeisances. Namaha. Vijnana Viryaya means that Brahmaji is the original source of strength and scientific knowledge. Vijnana means scientific knowledge, and Viryaya means strength. Then Mayaya idam upeyushe grahita gunabhedaya. They are saying that Brahmaji, by the arrangement of the Lord, you have accepted differentiated mode of passion. So Prabhupada translates, you have accepted the differentiated mode of passion from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With the help of external energy, Mayaya idam grahita gunabhedaya namaste avyakta yonaye. And further they are offering their obeisances that you are born from avyakta yonaye, from that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is not manifested to anyone in this material world. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita how he is present in the material world. What does Krishna says? Avyakta murtina, right? Krishna says, I pervade the entire material world in my unmanifested form. So even though the Supreme Lord has a form, the Lord is lying down in Garbhodaka ocean, and even in the planet the Lord is lying down as in the Kshirodaka ocean. But the Lord is not manifest to ordinary people. So he is called here as unmanifest. Brahma is manifest. All these devatas, they can approach Brahma because he is manifest, they can see him. But the Supreme Lord is not manifest unless one is a devotee of the Lord. So therefore he is called as Avyakta Yonaye. Now, why Brahma is called Vijnana Viryaya? Original source of strength and scientific knowledge. Prabhupada explains that in the purport. Why Brahmaji is addressed here as original source of strength and scientific knowledge. Prabhupada,
रामचंद्र
Ram Gopal.
which was impregnated in the heart of the
Okay. Because in the manifest world, in the manifest universe, what we see, the knowledge was first impregnated in the heart of Brahmaji. And from him, the knowledge comes down in disciplic succession. So as far as the universe is concerned, in its manifested form, Brahmaji is the original source. But he has received the knowledge from unmanifest, who is not manifest before everyone. So that is also there. So with respect to manifested universe, he is considered to be the original source. So that's what Prabhupada is saying here. The Vedas are the original scientific knowledge for all department of understanding. But the Vedas was not with Brahma in the beginning. Vedas means knowledge. Brahmaji, when he was born, he did not even know the knowledge about his origin. He did not know the knowledge about what is his duty, for what he is born, who is the source, where has he come from, nothing he knew. He was bewildered in the very beginning. So actually, that means Vedas or knowledge was not with him in the beginning. Then later on, when the Lord guided him because of his sincere desire to understand in the form of tapa, and when Brahmaji performed severe austerities, devotional austerities to please the Supreme Lord, then the Lord gave Vedic knowledge to him. Then the Lord impregnated Brahma in his heart with Vedic knowledge. So, Vedas are the original scientific knowledge. All knowledge comes from Veda. And what is Veda? What is Veda? Vedas are emanations of the Supreme Lord. They are the words of the Supreme Lord. That is why they are actually original knowledge. You see, if it had come from Brahma, it cannot be considered to be original knowledge. The words were first given, these Vedas were first impregnated by the Lord in the heart of Brahma. And the Vedas are the original knowledge. So that is why Brahma is considered to be the source of original knowledge, because in this world, Vedic knowledge comes from Brahma. But he himself received it from the Supreme Lord. That should be very clearly understood. Therefore, Brahma is the original source of all scientific knowledge. He is born directly from the transcendental body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who is never seen by any creature of this material universe and therefore always remains unmanifested. So this is also very important. Why the Lord is called unmanifested here is because Garbhodakshai Vishnu is not seen by ordinary people. Even Brahmaji was not able to see. See, Brahmaji is born from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. The Lord is lying down in Garbhodaka ocean, and from the navel of the Lord, the lotus flower emanates, and in that lotus, Brahmaji is born. And even though it is coming, the root of that lotus lies in the navel of the Lord, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, but Brahmaji was not aware. Even though he tried to search out the source, he was not able to understand. So that means even Brahmaji actually, even the Lord is unmanifest to even Brahma, who is born from the Lord, directly from the navel of the Lord. Only by the mercy of the Lord became manifested. So otherwise, the Lord is, as it is said, Avyakta. Namaste Avyakta Yonaye. So the Devatas are offering obeisances to Brahmaji because he comes from Avyakta Yonaye. He comes from unmanifested source. the Lord Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is not manifest directly to people. Grahita guna bhedaya. And because of the external energy of the Lord, he accepted mode of passion. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is actually called the essence of the Vedas. We are talking here about Vedas being the original scientific knowledge for all departments of understanding. Bhagavatam is considered to be the essence of all knowledge, of all the Vedic literatures. Prabhupada explains that Bhagavatam, even though all the Vedic literature were written down, it was coming in disciplic succession. Brahmaji gave this knowledge to Narada, Narada gave to Vedavyasa. It comes down in parampara like this. But Vedavyasa was the one who was empowered by the Lord to compile the Vedas. And then 5,000 years back, Vedavyasa wrote down this Vedic literature. When he was writing down, first he divided the Vedas, the one Veda into 4. Then he wrote many Upanishads, he compiled whatever the great sages had written. So he compiled from them, wrote all those Upanishads. And after Upanishads, he wrote Vedanta, end of knowledge. But in spite of writing all these things, Vedavyasa was not satisfied. Still he was dissatisfied in his heart. Because the goal of all Vedas is actually to achieve Krishna. Vedascha sarve aham eva vedyaha. But he missed out that point. He did not glorify the Supreme Lord directly in the Vedas. Even though he knew that people in Kali Yuga, they are less intelligent, and they will simply, even though indirectly he has glorified the Lord in Upanishads, in Vedanta, but people are so foolish in Kali Yuga, they will miss out the import of Vedas. They will get attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. And they will think, this is the goal of Veda, to go to heavenly planets, to merge into Brahman, to become some great yogi. And they will think that is the goal of Vedas. They will miss out, the goal of Veda is to understand Krishna. So that is why he was not satisfied. And then, on the guidance of his spiritual master, Narada, Vedavyasa finally wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Purana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls it spotless Purana. And Prabhupada says, in his maturity of spiritual understanding, Bhagavatam was written. You see? So, scientific knowledge is contained in the Vedas, no doubt about it. It contains knowledge about different varieties of departments. Vedas contains knowledge about military science. It contains knowledge about Artha Shastra. Vedas contains knowledge about this material world. It contains knowledge about how to live peaceful existence in the material world, how to be elevated to heavenly planets. All this knowledge is contained in the Vedas. Nigama kalpataror. That is why Vedas are considered to be desire. It is like a desire tree. Whatever you want from the Vedas, you can get from the Vedas. If you want to lead a very peaceful, materialistic life, sophisticated life in the material world, that also you can get from the Vedas. You see? So, Vedas contain all kind of knowledge. But then, there is a gradation in importance of the knowledge. That is also very important. There is knowledge about military science, there is knowledge about astronomy, there is knowledge about astrology. So many different kind of knowledge you can find. There is knowledge about medical science also, Ayurveda, all those things you can find. But comparatively, the most essential knowledge of the Vedas is about the Supreme Lord. That is the essence of that. So Bhagavatam is the essence of the Vedic knowledge. So that we don't get lost into the varieties of department of Vedic knowledge. Essence was written by Veda Vyasa in his maturity. That's why Bhagavatam is considered to be the essence of all the Vedic literature. If one reads Bhagavatam, he gets all the import of whatever is given in all the Vedas. That we should understand. And Veda Vyasa, it is very interesting. In his very first shloka, when he is offering his respectful obeisances, before writing Srimad Bhagavatam, he is offering his obeisances. And he is offering his obeisances not to Brahmaji. Even though he knows that Brahmaji is the original source of the same knowledge which I have received. It has come down from Brahma. Brahma gave to Narada, Narada gave to him. So Veda Vyasa is very clear about that I have received this knowledge in parampara from Brahmaji. But he is offering his obeisances not to Brahma. Rather, he is referring, I offer my obeisances to that Supreme Lord who has imparted knowledge even to Brahma. In the very first verse. So this is very important. What is that verse? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The very first line itself is offering his obeisances to Lord Krishna. So, the whole idea is, we should all understand, even though Brahma is called here Vijnana Viryaya, still, even though he is called the original source of all Vedic knowledge, still we have to understand he is not independent. To gain this knowledge, he is not independent. He was not having this knowledge. He had to gain it from someone. He had to gain this knowledge from the Supreme Lord. Mercifully, the Lord imparted this knowledge in his heart. He is not independent. That is what separates the Supreme Personality of Godhead from any other living entity. What is the word used by Veda Vyasa when he describes the Supreme Lord? Separating him from Brahma, separating him from any other living entity. In that very first verse. Abhigna Swarat, yes. Even though the Supreme Lord is also conscious, he is also living, but no one except him can be Abhigna and Swarat. Fully cognizant, that is called Abhigna. No other source he requires. Not dependent on knowledge on anyone else. Independent source of knowledge. Completely cognizant. That is called Abhigna. And Swarat means independent. There is no one above him. He has no controller. He has no one to give him knowledge. He is the source of all knowledge. He is the one who gives this knowledge to Brahma. See, that is the difference. So very nicely, Veda Vyasas, this we will try to just analyze a little bit about this first shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very beautiful shloka. Prabhupada used to say that my Guru Maharaj would give months and months of lecture on just one shloka of Bhagavatam. On first shloka itself, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would give months after months commentary and lectures on that. So much deep meaning is there in this first shloka of Bhagavatam itself. Actually, we'll just, in a very brief, we will try to see. When you get time, you can read it more, analyze it, how beautifully this explains from the very beginning about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Prabhupada starts with the purport. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva directly indicates Lord Sri Krishna. This is very important, because let us say if it is said that no name is given about the Supreme Lord, or even if it is said Krishna, then still one may wonder, who is that Krishna? So it is made crystal clear here that Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the Lord who appeared as cowherd boy, as son of Vasudeva. It is referring to that. Om Namo Bhagavate, Bhagavan. Who is that Bhagavan? He is son of Vasudeva. So, from the very beginning, whom he is offering his obeisances is made very clear here. And why is he offering obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What is the definition of Bhagavan? Janmadi asya yataha anvaya itarataschartheshva abhigna swarat. You see? So first Prabhupada is explaining in the very first paragraph of the purport, obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, directly indicates Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Otherwise, nonsense people will bring about so many Bhagavans, so that there is no ambiguity. It is crystal clear which Krishna is being talked about, because there may be so many Krishna people will bring about. Krishna, Bhagavan, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So first Prabhupada explains this. Then Prabhupada is explaining, the fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Further it will be explained. Sri Vyasadeva asserts herein, Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All others are his direct or indirect plenary portion or portion of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this more in Krishna Sandarbha. And Brahma, he has explained this in Brahma Samhita. So Prabhupada is quoting. Then in Samaveda, Prabhupada explains. This is also explained. So from Shruti, from Puranas, from Samhitas, we can see the same thing is explained. So Prabhupada is establishing right from the beginning, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who is that Krishna? The source of Janmadi Asya Yataha Anvayat, source of everything. Everything is born from him, everything rests in him, everything is finally dissolved by him. Janmadhyasa explains that. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by Paramahamsas, who are perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life. Then Prabhupada explains about that, how it is our desire always to know what is the origin, right? Always we have this question. Prabhupada explains by saying, in the night we see different stars, and sometimes we wonder where these stars have come from, where this moon has come from, where this sun has come from. So inquisitive mind always wants to know the origin. And here the origin of all origin is explained. Janmadi asya yataha. Everything emanates from this Vasudeva. Then Prabhupada further beautifully explains that how Not only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is the cause of all these creations. Even Brahmaji, who is considered to be the creator of this material universe, he is dependent on the Supreme Lord for his creation. So Prabhupada further establishes that. So very interesting. I will read this. In the Vedic literature, it is said, the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is the chief amongst all living personalities. All living beings, beginning from first created being Brahma, down to the smallest end, are individual living beings. And above Brahma, there are other living beings with individual capacity. And the personality of Godhead is also similar living being. And He is an individual, as are the other living beings. But the Supreme Lord, or the Supreme Living Being, has the greatest intelligence. This is what separates Him. He is also conscious, He is also living being as everybody else. Everybody is individual living being. Difference is, He has the greatest intelligence. He possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. Brahmaji we are seeing here, he is addressed as, the source of knowledge and strength. But actually, the original source of all knowledge and all energies, all strength is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is what Prabhupada is explaining. And all other borrow from Him. Brahma has borrowed from Him. The Lord mercifully gives it. It's like that. And He possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things that are far superior. So Brahmaji has produced universe. The varieties in this universe, different planets we can see. That is the creation of Brahmaji, far superior. We can produce one satellite. He can produce many planets. So Prabhupada is saying, if a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable persons will easily accept this argument, but there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vedavyasa, however, at once accept the supreme intelligence as Parameshwara, Para. What is the word used here? Satyam Param. Para means He is above all of them, controller of all controllers. Vedavyasa immediately accepts Param, Parameshwara, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that Parameshwara is Sri Krishna, is accepted even in Bhagavad Gita and other scripture delivered by Vedavyasa, and specifically in Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says there is no other Paratattva than Himself. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th Canto. You see? Just one more paragraph we'll read and we will close. Prabhupada explains that how the Supreme Lord is Abhigna Swarat. Abhigna means, Prabhupada explains, directly and indirectly cognizant about everything. There are certain things we may be indirectly knowing. Directly we will not be knowing. Indirectly we know, we eat food, then there is some process called digestion. The food gets digested and then the food, it is passed out as stool. Who is directly cognizant about that? The food is going and now the food is getting digested and then now it is forming into blood And then we don't know anything of this. What we do, we eat, next day we pass to. Only that much we know. Right? Indirectly through scientific knowledge we have studied, that is all indirect. Directly we are not knowing about this. So this is not called complete knowledge. Complete abhigna means directly and indirectly. You see, this is called abhigna. Supreme Lord is directly as Paramatma. He knows everything of this material world. Everything. And indirectly also, through his energies, the Lord is cognizant about everything. You see, just like Tata, what is going on in his factory here, how much profit is being, indirectly he knows. He may not be knowing directly, but the Lord directly also knows, and through energy also he knows. This is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. So Prabhupada very beautifully explains with one example. The chief engineer of a complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction. But he knows every nook and corner because everything is done under his direction. He knows everything about the construction. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Supreme Engineer of this cosmic creation, knows every nook and corner. Although affairs are being carried out by demigods, beginning from Brahma to the down to insignificant ant, no one is independent in the material creation. The hand of the Lord is seen everywhere. And this is actually called God realization. What is realization? When we are able to see hand of the Lord everywhere. When we are even, devotee does not get bewildered. When some scientist is able to, invent something wonderful, the devotee does not get bewildered. Arey, what has happened? He knows what is this. One spark of the Lord, He is the one living entity, is also creative. That creative power is borrowed from the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord gives. So this is called God consciousness. Hand of the Lord is seen by the devotee everywhere. That is how a devotee perceives everything as the Supreme Lord in the material world, because he is able to see the hand of the Lord. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Anything significant you see in the material world, any beauty you see in the material world, any kind of opulence you see, know it to be my opulence. Insignificant part of my opulence, Krishna says. Right? So that is how a devotee sees. That anything I see, something very wise, somebody very intelligent, somebody very creative, all this is nothing but a spark of that Supreme Lord's abilities, His powers. All material elements as well as all spiritual spark emanates from Him only. Whatever is created in this material world is interaction of two energy, material and spiritual, which emanates from the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen. But in reality, the living entity works in laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord. He may be taking credit, we may be giving credit, we may be giving Nobel Prize. But actually real Nobel Prize should be given to the Lord. Isn't it? We are creating hydrogen and oxygen, we are mixing in laboratory, we give him Nobel Prize. We are not seeing in the atmosphere so much oxygen is already present. Who has made this laboratory? Who has created this oxygen? In which laboratory it was created? So the real Nobel Prize should be given to the Supreme Lord. That we are not seeing. But a devotee is able to see. He does not become bewildered. So he is able to understand that Brahmaji may be addressed here as source of all knowledge. He may be addressed as source of all strength. But actually he gains, he is not independent. Only the Supreme Lord, He is Abhigna, He is Swarat, He is independent. He is fully cognizant, directly and indirectly. Other than Him, nobody is Abhigna, nobody is Swarat. So this is what we can understand from here. We will stop with this. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.